show, a place where visionary leaders build a life and business legacy on purpose through mindset, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team so they can make an amazing impact and income and positively affect their communities worldwide. Ensure that you are sharing this show, you're subscribing, and you also are leaving us a review so we can create more amazing content around those areas to help you level up to the next level and also bring amazing guest experts that can share their knowledge and expertise with you so that you can create amazing legacy. All right. Happy Friday, visionary leaders, purpose-driven visionary leaders. I'm back with you with another amazing guest and show. And today we're going to talk about how to grow your podcast by reaching a bigger audience. Who does not want that? We talk about podcasting here in many ways as a very amazing channel to not only serve your ideal audience, but also to be able to share your message, build trust and authority as the expert that you are in your expertise and field, but also as a way to really have a product out there that is reaching people beyond even the social medias, is what I call it, like the social media platforms. And I have with me today Dagmarr Torres, an amazing entrepreneur, multi-purpose, multi-passion entrepreneur, I should say, that is going to share with us a lot of amazing wisdom around this topic. But before we dive into the topic, Dagmarr, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be with you today.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I know you're not feeling well, so I'm not going to keep you very long. I feel very blessed that you are here sharing your message with us today. And so before we dive into the topic, Dagmarr, can you give me a little background of your journey? I guess the most meaningful moments, if you can connect the dots, that
Yes.
led to the work that you are doing now.
Definitely. Yeah. So I started in the entrepreneurial world at like nine. It's going to be almost 10 years. Actually, it's 10 years. It's going to be 10 years. Like in the middle of summer. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Now that I think about it, oh my God, like time flies, right? So I started in entrepreneurial world 10 years ago, and through the years it has been a development, right? Every year you change, you learn something new. Then 2020 happened. I did many changes. I started my coaching business right in the middle of the pandemic because that's obviously what everybody was doing, right? We were like shifting and trying to find a way to make the money because of the situation that we all were in. And I think that was in a way positive because it truly pushed everybody out of their comfort zone. So by the end of 2020 in December, I was like watching all the stories, like develop like all the success stories in different Facebook groups and different websites and everybody. I was like, but most of them were like private, like you needed, there was a layer of privacy before you were able to attend the event or hear the speaker tell the story. I was like, man, this story needs to be out there. And I had the great idea, I'm just gonna do Facebook lives. That's what my thought at the moment. Like I didn't came with the podcast right away. I'm sorry. Um and then I started doing a couple of interviews, and my friends and a lot of people started like reaching out to me like, Dagmarr, I love what you're doing, you need to turn this into a podcast. I was like, how am I gonna do this? So I was like, okay, so let me just like brainstorm about how I'm gonna approach this thing, give the podcast a meaning, a niche, and that's how Be Fearless podcast came to be. Um, and we're already in the third season now. The podcast is pretty much everywhere, and it's starting to have a bunch of recognizable guests like within the past year and a half, it has to go to the level that is getting a major level of credibility and um, prestige, if you want to like call it like that. And right now, I think the only thing that I'm missing is being on XM radio. That's the goal for this year.
Love that. Love that. So I love the journey, Dagmar. And I think two things that you said there are at least what I want to highlight is this journey is always about evolving. And I love that and we are always as entrepreneurs looking for gaps in the market, looking for holes that are not being met, or needs that are not being met. And
Mhm.
you kind of look with your eye, investigative eye, and in the groups, and you're like, okay, I will start with doing a live, right? Because you saw that there was a problem with maybe the groups being private and only certain members were accessing the information and the
Mhm.
increase, right? So you kind of saw that and you said, I'm going to do something about it, and you started something. So for a lot of people at the beginning, I think that's great advice, because we're always kind of are plagued by the overwhelm of like, where do I start? Just start with something, and then we'll
Exactly. Just start.
be there. Even the show, as the branding, as the messaging goes, on the strategy behind how to grow it, right? How to strategically
Mm,
get more views for it, reach more people, because that's usually the ultimate goal. Build
exactly.
credibility, authority, and all of that. Everything is marketable. Everything needs to be marketed. That's just the one thing I've learned, right? So
Hmm.
even a free product like a podcast, it needs to have a marketing strategy.
Yes.
So I would love to kind of tap into that a little bit more around, what do you suggest for the audience? What is a good marketing strategy you were following with your show that you've had success really very early on? Because third season is not really even that long of doing the show, that you maybe can now relate to other people using podcasting as a great way to put themselves out there, put their brand out there, put their message out there, and reach a bigger audience.
Yes. So when it comes to marketing, to be honest, I don't invest a lot of money on it. I basically everything that I have done with the podcast so far, I'm surprised of the level of success that I have had by just doing organically.
That's
Um,
actually what I would say. So marketing, that's another thing. There's two types of marketing, and I think
yeah,
organic is powerful, and
yeah.
then paid. So let's talk about organic, and then paid. We're not going to talk about that. That's a different.
Exactly.
So let's talk about what we know.
But organically,
Both
which is
menu, organic is the way, because
yeah.
why not? There's so much opportunities to do that. So go ahead.
Exactly.
Just a comment.
So when it comes to organic marketing your podcast organically, I will say it is just reaching you, making yourself more or giving yourself more exposure, right? Just get yourself into other people venues, like getting into other podcasts and being interviewing shows, getting articles writing about yourself. For example, last year, the Department of Veteran Affairs did a piece of me, an article of me, and designated me as a veteran of the day. So that was for me huge, because now I have people within my niche, because I'm a veteran and I work with a lot of veterans as well. I'm reaching out to the people that I serve as well. So that gave me a huge audience out there, and that helped me tremendously. So if you can get yourself to have other people writing about what you do, your journey, you don't definitely need to be out there just promoting your services or the product or your high ticket that you have. You can, by only sharing your story, that's the most powerful tool in there, because people is going to connect with you through your story, through by you sharing your pains, your laugh, your all the success, and how you went through this transformation, this development within that journey. So I think that's the major thing. Just get yourself into others people venues. Um, get into groups that are looking for guests. Just go in there, search for people that aligns with you, and then go into the platforms and share your story, share your experience, and help them out as well. I think that that's a big thing when it comes to podcasting, is that you grow by helping other people. It's not always going to be self-centered. It's always going to be by bringing other people into your atmosphere. I think the biggest example for me has been Joe Rogan. A lot of people don't like him, but I'm a fan. I don't think I can speak 3 hours like he do, because every episode with him is basically 3 hours. I don't think I can do 3 hours of a podcast, but I actually have used his success as the model for mine when it comes to podcasting.
Hmm. What is the name of the
Joe Rogan, the Joe
Joe?
Rogan Experience podcast. Yeah. You can
Okay.
find him everywhere. And I mean, he's like,
Mhm.
wow.
So
He's
what do
a,
you like about his strategy for his podcast that you would recommend?
something that I have adapted from him is number one, um, having the clear message. Just don't, how things are these days. You have to be like measuring your words, restricting, be careful and political correct and all that thing. And it's something that I admire for him, is that for he doesn't care about that. I mean, if you're going to talk about something, yes, you speak about it with respect, but it doesn't have to limit your expression of your beliefs and the things that you want to help other people with.
Hmm.
So I think that that's like something that I like from him, and that's why I think he has so much success. Right now he has what his podcast gain makes him $36 million a year.
Yeah, and
So
eventually will grow. And I think what you're trying to say there is be authentic to your brand. If
exactly.
that is who you are, nothing wrong with that. You'll attract that audience and they'll appreciate you. Don't try to
Exactly.
be a willy wally, wishy washy to attract everyone. That's how you
Exactly.
attract no one. So he's just probably, I don't know. I will go check him out. I'm curious now. But it's probably, I've seen a theme even through my work that being authentic and speaking through your heart, this is why
Yeah,
that's always something that I also say attracts the right people towards you, and you don't have to worry about being scripted, being limited. You just be you, and then the right people will listen to your show. And
exactly.
that's actually what you want anyway. You don't want people that don't align with your message and your values, because it's never going to work out. They're
Exactly.
not the right people. They're not your people. So I believe that's kind of what you're sharing with him. And yeah, well, this is good branding for him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I have had backlash because I have said that I like him, or that I listen to him, and I have people just coming back at me like, you know,
That's not
well,
your people. I
and I'm
mean,
like,
people
well,
have
I'm
opinions.
sorry. I'm sorry, but I think that he has been a very smart business person when it comes to what he's doing with podcasting, and he has tremendous. I mean, he has changed the industry tremendously. So I think that if you want to kind of like definitely adapt a strategy of podcast growing, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I might be throwing myself under the bus, but honestly, I mean, because that's what I did, and that's what you should do. I mean, if you want to, that's another thing. When it comes to the strategy of your podcast, you have to also look at your competition, not to hate, but to see what they're doing that you can adapt to improve yourself, and look what they are not doing, so you can then implement to grow and develop yourself.
Yeah.
um because
Hmm.
a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna watch my competition just to like trash them. No, that's not the way to go. No, you watch to learn, and that's what you do when in this world of podcasting. No, because you're a podcaster, you're not going to listen to other people. You have to listen to everybody out there, and then identify where is the gap. because when you identify that gap, and then you can fill the gap.
Absolutely. You have to know what's being served, especially if you're going to be a leader in the industry. You have to know what's being served out there.
Exactly.
You could see the gaps and admire things that you like about others and implement it if you feel pulled to do it. I mean, not everything speaks to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there is success, success leaves clues. Take what has worked if you're trying to get your own thing. But I think what happens the more you stay authentic, like we said, I think that's a really important message, even with podcasting and branding in general. Is you start growing organically and naturally, and you start attracting the right people towards
Mm-hmm.
you. But you have to look at, that's why I said marketing, because I think everything needs, it needs a marketing strategy. Every offer
Yeah.
we have, every free offer we have, anything, the book, your book needs marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You tap into that. Your podcast needs marketing, right? And eventually these things can take a life on their own, right? Just like,
Yeah.
you have to look at it like a business thing, and that's not a bad thing, because sometimes we get to get turned off about that. It's like, well, not everything is a business, but everything should be aligned to your brand, and it should create more income so you can do more good in the world with that. And your
Yes.
podcast can be absolutely that channel that maybe not right now. I mean, it does take time to put your brand out there, right? To grow that
Mm-hmm.
momentum. But looking at it as a product on its own that can eventually even get monetized, there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah. And
right?
it's all about consistency. I mean, when I started in 2020, um, at the beginning, I was like getting really discouraged because I was reaching out to people, and there was this one person that said, "Oh, just call me when you have like 1,000 downloads." I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna call you, because if you are not willing to share and you just sharing because depending on with which venue it is, I mean, or the status or name, that is actually open the doors, because basically when you open the doors to somebody else in your podcast, that's free marketing right there for them. And I
Yeah,
love to
they
do
just want
that.
to make sure that there was an audience. That's all. They just want to
Exactly.
make
As long
sure
as
there was
there's
an
somebody
audience.
watching, even if it's one person, believe me, that one person is gonna pass the word. Like I love when I got you onto my podcast, because I was like, I know somebody's gonna tell somebody about you, not me. Oh, Dagmar has X or Y. No, you. The point is, when make sure that that's another thing, to grow your podcast, you have to spotlight your guest, right? So make sure that you put in the spotlight in there, because then people start, oh yeah, because I saw this person at Elona's. I saw Elona in Dagmar's podcast, or in whatever podcast it is. That's fantastic. Not only for the podcast, but for the guest, right?
Absolutely. And let's talk about this, because this is a question I think a lot of people have around their podcast. They're like, should I stay solo? Should I just keep it to myself? Or should I share the love with others? And I figured out very early on that because my big value is serving, I'm always going to serve people with my podcast, serve the guest at the highest
Mm-hmm.
level, because that way I've also served myself. I am the host. No one, not remembers the host. You already
Mm-hmm.
have the credibility with your audience.
Exactly.
Bringing in more people only adds more value to your audience, because
Exactly.
now there's a different perspective. There's a different expert. They probably already know how I think, because I'm repeating similar things, right? And I'm only
But
one human.
there's nothing wrong about that, and I love
So,
that you said that. Should I say just me doing the podcast, or I'll say you
yeah.
should do both. I mean, you should like have your own, even if let's say you podcast every day, right? And then on Tuesday, this person, your guest say, oh, I cannot make it. Okay, then you just show up and you provide value that day.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you when you bring somebody else, it also helps you and helps them. It's a mutual thing. It's a mutual help
It's
for
a big
everybody.
win-win.
And it's better, because when you have two brains in a conversation, like, people get tired of a monologue. Like when you have seen a show that has been a monologue and has like lasted more than one day. you, you will never see that on TV, right? It's always more than one person. Things is better in when there's more people, when there's we work together. So I think that's amazing, and it will definitely help you to grow your podcast and reach out a bigger audience. And the other thing is, we sometimes think that people is not listening. People is listening from all over the world. It doesn't matter, as long as you put it out there to a podcasting platform. At some point, as you continue to be consistent, people is going to reach out. At some point, your audience is gonna come in. I will say, like in the last year and a half, is when I have seen my podcast grow. Like I have audience in Germany, I have audience in India, I have audience in Saudi Arabia, I had audience in Canada, or my Latin speaking countries. Like it at some point had a boom, but it was consistency. I didn't give up.
Yeah.
There's 7.6 billion people on the planet. Guess, do you know what is the statistic of how much people listen to a podcast?
Wow.
At
Do you have
least,
the
at
number?
least, at least 1 million people listen to a podcast on daily basis. 1 million people. So if you consistently putting your content out there, you're showing up, not only you creating your exposure, but you're also creating a content that at some point people is going to start picking up. And
Yeah.
as they go by and time goes in, you're gonna see that your episodes are gonna show an episode that all of a sudden showed up with 200 downloads in one day, and I almost like fainted
It's
because
like
I was so excited. I was like, oh
going
my god,
viral.
I was
It's
like,
like
oh
a
my
video
god,
going viral, like
but
TikTok.
but
Yeah.
that shows you the value of
Mhm.
consistency. uh
Absolutely. And Dagmar, let's wrap this up because there's
yeah,
so much good information you're sharing with us. And I just want the audience to kind of recap all of it so they can take some action. I'm always
yes.
about that because we all know information is not going to do the thing, it's the action that's going to give you the results you're
Exactly.
looking for. So I think what you mentioned there, just to recap, is oh my gosh, access other people's audiences. That's the fastest way to grow. You're going to grow on
Yeah.
your own, like one thing at a time. Great. You're still going to do it. You should do it. Stay consistent. Branding is all about building trust. And
Yeah.
that is how people know if this person is always showing up on my video, on my lives, on my whatever, wherever she's stable, she's secure, I can trust her. And
Yes.
then I can work with her. That's if she shows up this way on the outside, then of course she's going to deliver value on the inside. So it's the brand perception that you get by you staying consistent and loyal to your mission. I think it's really, really powerful what you said. And the other thing is about having a marketing I don't want to say the marketing in them, but have a call to action for your podcast. Lead
Yes.
the audience to where you think your audience should go. The audience should not be left to kind of just do whatever with the information, right? Give them
Mm-hmm.
the next step, a call to action, so people know exactly, first of all, how to support you further, but
Mm-hmm.
also what to do with that information. Let's say right now we're talking about podcasting. So if we can lead them into something that they could take action on, let's say, right, this would be a great value add for this episode. So not only are they listening to this information, but there's also something they can take, a next step that will really even give them bigger results. So look at it that way and have a journey for the people that are also listening to your show. I think
Yes.
that's also something important that we can add. Dagmar, we have actually reached the end. I would love for you actually to share some insight with our audience around the steps on how to get featured. I think tapping into media for your podcast or your work in general is something that is very, very valuable. So, how do you think people can start with that? Where is it that they can?
I'm going to be honest with you, and this is something that I have applied in every area of my business, and I teach my clients to do so. And this is the first thing that I'm going to tell everybody to do is just get yourself to be a professional in networking. Get network. That's it. That's gonna get you everywhere, because you're gonna have not only people for your business, but you're gonna also have always somebody willing to come into your platform to share with you their knowledge, and not only with you, but with your audience, their knowledge. And it, the more that you network, the bigger reach you have to a wealth of knowledge. Okay, we all know everything, right? We wish we knew everything, but when you network and you add more people into your circle, and you start like pinpointing who are the key people that can definitely bring value into your podcast, and you bring them in, then people start reaching out to you from that network and circle that you're creating. So for me, I think that the first thing to do is become a master at networking. Don't be afraid, don't be shy, reach out to people, talk to people in person, online. Just reach out. Because that's also the other way to have a very close approach into gaining trust and getting yourself out there and behind, like, I'll call it the backstage, right, of success is network.
Yeah.
So do networking. And then the other thing is just place your content everywhere. Facebook, we have today so many social medias platforms. Take advantage of it. Put yourself out there. I know the camera may be intimidating, but don't let that stop you. There are going to be days that you're not going to be in the right place. Today for me is one of those days, but I'm still here. I'm showing up. So show up. People will appreciate it. Even when in your worst day you're showing up, you pushing yourself, um, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just stand up and keep going. So I think that will be like the last words of value, that I will leave your audience with today. Is just, network, get yourself out there in every platform, and don't be afraid.
Yeah, final message. That's beautiful. I think you wrapped it up so beautifully between everything we've been saying. But yeah, I mean, there could be an editor in your network. That could be a collaborator in your network. That could be your next client in your network. Your network is your net worth. Build relationships like human beings. We're in the whole
Exactly.
business of human beings, right?
And
And
today it's so easy to reach out to people. Like, we have so
yes,
much
I always
technology.
say I can find the world on social media. Are we getting serious? We can find everybody. That is powerful. So I love what you said. Be everywhere. Why the heck not? Right?
Exactly.
Wherever you are, wherever opportunities, there will be opportunities because visibility is powerful in our business.
Yes.
And don't show up for you, show up to serve. Don't
Mhm.
worry about your hair. Don't worry about your makeup. Don't worry about how I look. I want to show up because I think this message might help someone. Just think
Exactly.
of the one person every time, you'll be safe. Because when
Yes.
you think there's a lot of people, you get nervous. Forget it.
Exactly.
It's like a trick. But even in a big audience, when I speak, I'm always speaking to one person, and I'm natural, and I'm just gonna do it. But the more it's like a skill. I love that you said that network is to learn to master skill, because the more people you talk to, this
Mhm.
becomes such a natural thing at the end, that you can talk to everyone and anyone. And that is like, oh my God, your world is your oyster. You can find everyone on social media. There is no limit.
Exactly.
Let's wrap it up that way.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask, because we always have that person that we are like, we it seems to be way too high from us, and we are afraid. No, don't be afraid to ask.
No,
Don't
they're
be
all
afraid to
human
ask.
beings. I used to have that problem, and now it's like they're all human beings. And when you talk to them, they're the most humble people, the ones that you had such a high perception about. When you
Yeah.
speak to them, they're like humans. I mean, because we are humans, right?
Hmm.
It's all the perception we put around people because we maybe admire them or their position or the status. We're still brainwashed by culture. But we need to remove a lot of that. At the end of the day, people are people. So if you go up to someone and find really curious ways to really open up a conversation, find common points, that's a great way to connect as humans. And
Yes.
then just be personal and just, open up your heart and just have it naturally lead you to the next step. And Don't even worry about, asking people for anything. Just serve, help first, right? I mean, just do that. And then the other part will naturally come towards you.
Yeah.
Dagmar, where is it that people can continue the conversation with you?
Oh, they can continue the conversation, and I'm pretty much everywhere, but you can find me on Facebook. Dagmartorres.com. That's where everything. I'll have my social media linked is there. All my coaching, all podcasts, everything about me, you're gonna find in dagmartorres.com. So you can definitely find me there. Oh, just search me on Facebook. You will find me.
Yeah, I mean, Dagmar knows the power of branding, and I say it all the time. Her website collects all the great resources she has out there, so definitely go check that out. But be everywhere on intention, because sometimes that message confuses people. Like, why won't
Mm-hmm.
be everywhere? Be everywhere for branding. Not everywhere is it where you're going to spend your time. You spend your time wisely where you feel you're
Mm-hmm.
getting a return on your investment, but branding wise should be everywhere you possibly.
Everywhere. You brand should be everywhere.
So that's a final message from two girls that do branding. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Dagmar. I hope you feel better. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
here and looking forward to staying connected. And I will see you with the next episode and another amazing guest. Bye for now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Join me for a high level VIP strategy day where we will map your high level business strategy between your branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team. And you will walk away with a very clear plan for your business for the upcoming years to come for you to build on. One of the things that most entrepreneurs are missing is the one stop shop for business strategy where you are connecting all the dots in your business, and you can rest assured that you are staying focused and working on your business priorities at all times. Reach out to me, connect to see if you are interested in a high level VIP strategy day, and I'll give you more details. Thanks so much.